it's Tony with lidl.doodle. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to talk about journaling without overwhelm, how to start a journaling practice or reignite a practice, and why it's worth it. This might be a little bit of a long one because I have a lot to say about this topic. And as I was planning it out, I was like, oh, yeah, I got a lot to say. And I'm kind of like a little bit nervous because there's just a lot to unpack. And I'm not an expert. So there's imposter syndrome, popping up. And we're going to talk about that with journaling. So, if I mess up or if I'm saying something nonsense, whatever, just bear with me. I just want to get my thoughts out there, and maybe, if it inspires you to rethink about or think about your journaling in a different way, or rethink starting, or just rethink how you view journaling, then it'll be worth it. So I'm going to cover a handful of topics. So I want to talk about the benefits of journaling, because I think right there, just setting the precedent of why this matters. I want to talk about getting started, just some tips and how-to ideas, and then just kind of putting it all together, sharing some things about just the science behind journaling and how our brains work, and then just my final thoughts. So we'll get started. The first thing, it might just seem like, oh yeah, journaling's helpful, whatever. But it really, if you break it down, there's a lot of ways that journaling can help you, and different types of journaling. So, mentally downloading all of what's in your brain onto some paper that just immediately can reduce stress and anxiety. It supports emotional regulation. We can be more logical when we're writing something out, maybe thinking about how we're going to tackle a problem instead of just being immediately reactive to something. I know I've had plenty of times where maybe I've, for example, get a grumpy parent email at school, and I really just need to take a minute before I respond. And maybe I will do some journaling about, why am I having this reaction to, somebody being irritated at me, or, whatever. And so then when I go to respond, I'm in a better logical place. It improves your mood. I think it helps you see things differently, get things out of your brain that might feel icky. If you're doing some gratitude journaling, that's definitely going to improve your mood, because when you have to stop and think about what's good in your life, even on a bad day, it's going to help, right? It's going to make things feel better. Journaling can give you a sense of control. So again, depending on the type of journaling you're doing, if you are tracking your exercise habits, or if you're tracking your sleep, or if you are organizing your week, or setting goals, those are all things in your journal that are going to give you a feeling of, okay, I got this, right? Reflecting. If you're doing a reflection journal, I think it can help lead to better decision making. So, if you've got a problem or a big decision to make, and you just spend some time before you make that decision or tackle that problem, doing some reflecting, it's going to hopefully lead to some better, clear decision making. It promotes clear thinking. So again, it's going to enhance your memory. You're going to be writing things down, repetition. There's science out there about, the difference between typing and writing. And that's, something I believe in strongly. I encourage my students to think about, if they want to remember something. Anytime I'm studying for like a test, or when I got my art certification for teaching, I don't have an art degree, and so I had to basically learn all of the things that were going to be tested for my certification. I have almost a whole Leuchtturm hardback bullet journal filled with notes, and it's just one of my favorite things to go back. I'll even just go back and look through it because all the fonts and the colors and using all my pens, and it just brought me a lot of joy, but it really helped me solidify some of those concepts in my brain that I needed for the test. And then finally, I think journaling just kind of helps us slow down and be in the moment. I don't know about you, but boy, if I'm going to be on my keyboard and I've got a lot of emotions, I can just, really fast. But, unless I am just like dumping a bad day out on paper, I'm taking more time with my handwriting, and maybe I'm, using different colors and different, what do they call them? Containers. So like on a heading, I'll put like a box, or if it's a new vocabulary word, I'll put a bubble around it or something like that. So I love to use those kind of things, both for journaling and note taking. So there's just some basic, obvious or not, reasons why journaling can be very beneficial. Okay, so let's talk about getting started. So if you have never journaled before, I think the most important thing to start with is why? What's your purpose? Why do you want to journal? Do you need an organizer? Do you need a gratitude journal? Do you need a creative thoughts journal? Do you need a dump everything in your brain journal? What is your purpose? And be flexible with that. Maybe, if you're like me, I like to have a different notebook for each of my journaling reasons or my whys. I keep my bullet journal for my organizing. I keep my reflection journal separate. I keep my gratitude journal separate. I keep my, my writing journal or my writing ideas, etc. And the one thing I would strongly recommend, if you are needing like I don't know, for lack of a better term, it's kind of gross, but like a vomit journal, right? Where you're just like getting it all out, and it's like you are going through a rough patch, and you're just going to get all of those emotions down on paper, which I recommend doing, right? And if you're nervous about like somebody finding it, tear the page out and flush it. But just get it out of your brain. But the one thing I would recommend with that kind of journal is to have that be its own separate thing. If you are doing, a brain dump of icky stuff in your gratitude journal, there's just something there that I don't think those lines should be sharing a notebook. Keeping it separate. I also keep mine out of my sight. I definitely would not have it in my bedroom, definitely would not have it on my bedstand, because if it's, I don't want to say toxic, but if it's icky feelings or icky things that I have to process, I don't want that anywhere near a place where I want to be peaceful. So my brain dump journal that, I go to when I'm mad or frustrated, it's like at the very back of my little cart in my office, where I keep all of my notebooks. I don't see it. Sometimes I forget that it's there, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's back there. But I just don't want to mix that kind of, what might just be associated with negative feelings with anything else. So that's a big tip I would have. But just decide, how do you want to start, or where do you want to go back to? Do you want to journal about your favorite recipes, or your journey of becoming a gardener? I don't know. But just, whatever purpose it's for, start there. I think the next way of getting started without being overwhelmed is to pick the right tools, start small, and be flexible. You don't have to have all of the journals and all of the pens and all of the washi tape and the everything. You can start small. But I do think it's important that you love your supplies. So when I say be flexible, maybe you don't spend a lot of money on your first notebook until you figure out that you really love graph paper or dotted paper. If I were to go out right now and, spend $25 on a lined notebook, it would just sit in my drawer. I don't particularly go to lined notebooks. I really just gravitate toward dotted. I would also recommend, when you are picking a journaling notebook, if you're just getting started or if you're feeling intimidated by it, to pick a smaller notebook, or fewer pages, I should say. I think that there's something to be said about facing a Leuchtturm with 260 pages versus a little Rhodia with 86 pages. Or I keep talking about my little Midori. Like, this would be perfect get yourself started journaling. It's got 96 pages. It's a B6, so it's not, real intimidating. I had somebody show up to a meeting one time, and their Leuchtturm was like, I didn't even know they made them this big, but it was like, I looked bigger than 8.5 by 11. I mean, it was like, choo. And I just thought all of that paper would intimidate me so much. There was so much room on one page. I feel like I would never be satisfied, right? Like, there is some satisfying, or it's satisfying. Sorry, I got tongue tied. It's satisfying when you finish a page, and whatever that page is, whether it's just long form writing, or you're doing some collage, or you're writing out a quote, but seeing that completed page, I feel like I get satisfaction from that. So those are my tips for just, pick some tools, try it, and if it doesn't work, repurpose it. Give it to your kid, give it to your husband, give it to your friend, give it to your boss, whatever. And don't invest a ton of money right away until you know what you like. The other thing I think is real important when you're getting started is to try to have a routine and try some different times out. So I am not a morning person. I have tried to say, I'm going to get up and do morning pages. So if you've read The Artist's Way, that's something that she recommends. It's not me. As much as I would love to do that, I think my longest stretch was like 3 days. So I know for me that morning is not going to be the time where I am going to really give my heart and my mind to my journaling practice. I have found that it's after dinner, it's after the kitchen's cleaned up, everybody's just kind of buttoned up. I'm not making any more food, I'm not doing any more cleaning. About 7 o'clock, we roll up into our office and we just kind of go, and then out come all of my journals, out come all of my pens, and I just spend the next probably 2 hours just in my journals. Sometimes I'm doing some ink swatching in there, or some doodling, or some mandala. We've got a movie on in the background, or some YouTube or something. But that's the time that works for me. So, if evenings don't work for you because you have a busy house and lots going on, maybe, the mornings are when you can carve out time, or maybe it's 15 minutes at lunch, or maybe it's every other night, or maybe it's at your kids' soccer practice, or whatever. But what I would really encourage you to do, or not to do, is be rigid. Because that rigidity just leads you to unrealistic expectations. So my example again of getting up in the morning, if I am like, I am going to get up 45 minutes early every day and go in my office and journal for 45 minutes, and then I do it for one day, and then maybe I make it 30 minutes the second day, and then the third day I'm just hitting snooze on my alarm, well, then I'm going to be pissed at myself, right? I'm going to go, see, you couldn't do it. You couldn't even last more than 3 days. So just don't have that rigid mindset. Just go, you know what? Know yourself. I know myself. And as much as I would love to be a go-getter, and, I have colleagues who get up at like 5:30 and exercise in the morning, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? I don't want to know what 5:30 in the morning looks like. But there's part of me that goes, I wish I was like that. And I could be, right, if it was really important to me. But I'm going to just be flexible with myself, and I'm going to say, I'm more of a, walk on my treadmill when I get home from work and journal at 7 o'clock. And that's okay. So that is my heartfelt tip, right? Okay. So let's talk about how to, because I know when I first got into the bullet journaling community, there's all these, Pinterest bullet journals, and you know what I'm talking about if you're in the community at all, where you just kind of glaze over and you're just like, I could never do these amazing pages. And people just get really hung up on it has to look like a certain thing. I can remember being in some bullet journal Facebook groups that would be like, people would comment like, or question, can I do this in my bullet journal? Like, what? You're asking permission? And I think what that really translates to is like, maybe people want to know, hey, if I do this, is it cool? I don't know. But it's your practice, so you can do whatever you want in your bullet journal or any journal. There, I gave you permission for all of it. Do all of it. Okay. So, how to get started. It can be intimidating. Make a list of ideas. So, I generally will have a list in my bullet journal of, if I'm bored, what kind of page could I do? Use prompts. Join a challenge, do monthly themes, write a letter to your future self. I always like that one. Write an I am statement. Here's we're going to get a little into, kind of the brain stuff, thinking about, even if you're not somewhere, maybe, you have a goal, you want to run a 5K, but you haven't even ran longer than 3 minutes yet. Write what it's going to feel like when you have ran that 5K. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and what you visualize. Okay. So if you're visualizing yourself as finishing a 5K and you're writing about who that person is that finished the 5K, your brain's going to activate and start like really supporting that belief. Okay. I'm going to go back to the brain in a second because I have a lot to say about that. And if like you're a neurosurgeon or a neuroscientist watching this, just don't, I just know what I've heard. And I did take a brain class that was like a 6-month-long workshop and I learned a ton, but, it's a lot and I don't always remember everything correctly. So forgive me if I get something wrong. But anyway, I want to talk about something that I know I have encountered. I encounter literally all the time in my art classes. People are afraid of the blank page. What do I put on it? And I always, tell people, number one, don't do anything on the first page of your journal. Flip it to the second. There's something weird about that. And if the second page still feels intimidating, don't put any of your own writing on there. So do a collage, do a quote, like what I do in my commonplace journal. Like, it's not my thinking. It's my favorite collection of thoughts and quotes and poems or lyrics or sayings. And I'm going to share a few of mine here in a few minutes. Start with something like that to get rid of that first page anxiety, right? We all have imposter syndrome. In some way or another, it pops up in our lives. And if you don't, awesome. Maybe I'm wrong by thinking that we all do, but I like to think we all do. And Mel Robbins says that we all do. And I like Mel Robbins, and so I believe her. But, if you're like, I can't be a journaler because I saw this person's journal on Pinterest and it's really cool. And my work would never look like that. Well, good. It shouldn't, right? Make it yours. And so take a quote and some fun paper and paste it all over that first page. And now you don't have to be scared, right? And you can just move on. Okay, so let's talk about this brain stuff. And again, I just know I was fascinated by this workshop that I did, and it was like a 6-month-long thing, and it was just really interesting. And I have taken some of that learning and applied it in so many different ways in my life, and encouraged my friends and my children. We talk a lot about it, as I have a teenager, and there's a lot of stuff with a teenager that you have to process and work through. And my learning about all of this brain stuff has really helped me help her and help my students. The first thing is just thinking about suspending disbelief, whatever it is. So if you don't believe that you can be successful at something, your brain will 100% look for evidence to support that. right? Your brain is wired to support your beliefs. And so if you believe that you can't be successful, that you're not artistic, that you're not creative, your brain's going to look for ways to support that. It's going to say, oh, see, there's evidence, right? Now, see, I told myself I'm not creative. Look at that. I'm not creative. It's going to find evidence. And that is your reticular activating system. It's a filter that helps your brain decide what's important, and it helps your brain support your beliefs. So it's looking for evidence, okay? If you give your brain a mental image of where it's going, of where you want it to go, whether you visualize creative, beautiful journal pages, or you visualize filling up an entire Midori notebook, your brain will start to look for evidence that can lead you to believe that you can do that, okay? There's a saying or a concept in neuroscience called what fires together wires together. And this is a little like, maybe, I don't know, sciencey and a little over my head, but it's basically breaking it down that if like you're learning a new skill and that skill is repeated, your brain, the neural pathways are reinforced, and brain cells that are fired together become stronger together. So they make connections, right? So, if you are doing a practice of gratitude, you are, journaling about that, and then you are stopping and you're thinking, what am I thankful for today? Then your brain is going to start to look throughout your day for things that are good. And the opposite is true, right? If you're ruminating on all the crumminess in your life, your brain's going to just keep looking for that evidence. See? Look at that. Well, look at that. I stubbed my toe. Look at that. I lost $5. Look at that. I can't find my keys. Look at that. I've got a bad hair day. All the things, even small, big, whatever, your brain's going to look for it to support the evidence. And this concept has been life-changing for me. And I've shared it with a couple of friends who have gone through some tough things, and just trying to help people reframe what their belief system is, and that if they can convince their brain that they believe this, that their brain's going to do the job of providing the evidence. So if you can just take that little bit and just think, what are my beliefs? Because your brain will look for evidence to support that. Okay, so let's put it all together. Get clear on your purpose. If you want to journal, if you have journaled before and you want to reignite it, get clear on why you want to journal. What do you want to journal for? Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. There's no need to. There's nothing you can add on. You can get more pens. You can journal for longer sessions. If you only can manage 5 minutes a day, rock on, right? Celebrate that. Celebrate starting something. Keep it flexible. Don't put all these arbitrary rules and guidelines and things like you expect this is how journaling has to be if I'm going to be successful. No, that's total BS, okay? It's your practice. It can be whatever you want it to be. You don't have to ask permission. And if you feel like you do, I am just going to give you blanket permission right now. There you go. Okay. Remember the benefits. I mean, the science supports it, right? I always tell my students, I'm like, I'm not just saying this because I'm your dumb English teacher. Like, this matters. So kind of the same thing. I'm not just saying this because I like to yap about journaling, and the science supports it. Okay. Think about energy moves through written and spoken word. So if you are putting your energy into written word that is moving you in a direction that you want to go, energy will go there. Okay. So fill your time with things that move you in that direction. And I know that's getting a little bit off journaling, but I want to share a few like sayings and things that we talk about in my house, because it has helped me in my journaling practice. It has helped me with imposter syndrome, one of the sayings is, if it's in you, it's for you. And I had to kind of think on that a little bit to really understand it. When you have that pull to do something, or you have that thought or that nudge, or you just kind of have this little tickle in your brain. One of my students said that to me one time, and I was like, I'm going to steal that. I love that saying. So if something tickles your brain, then that's for you, right? So when I had the idea a year and a half ago to start a YouTube channel, I had no idea what I was doing. I sat on the idea for at least, I don't know, 3-4 months before I even thought about taking a step in that direction. I was like, I'm turning 50. I want to do something more. I want to do something creative. And I love, connecting with people in this space. And so I went for it. It was in me, right? And I feel like it's for me, and I know it's for me, not because of the feedback I get, but because of how it makes me feel. Like, I really love making videos and sharing about inks and all of those things. And when you realize, something's, if it's in you, it's for you, that kind of helps with the self, or the imposter syndrome. Because I will tell you, the first time I got a thumbs down on a video, I was mortified. I was like, people put thumbs down on ink videos? Like, I kind of like threw a little fit. My husband was just like, Tony, it's the internet. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay. I still enjoy and love doing this, even when I get a thumbs down on a video. Another thing we say is this or something better. That was given to me by the, let's see, I don't know if she's a neuropsychiatrist. Anyway, she was basically a therapist who specializes in brain work that I took the brain workshop from. And it really has resonated with me. We encountered some pretty significant adversity about 9 months ago. And as I was processing all of it and thinking, what's next, and how is this going to happen? How is this problem going to get fixed? We just kept repeating to ourselves, it's going to be this or it's going to be something better. And it's a hell of a lot better, I will tell you that. So anytime things get a little tough, I just go, you know what? This or something better. It's just this or something better. Taking the next right action. So if you're stuck, take the next right action. What's the next best thing you can do for yourself? Whether, you just ate a plate of cookies and you feel like garbage. You know what? Don't keep eating the cookies. Put the plate down and do the next best thing, right? Have a good protein drink or steak for dinner or something. And then the last thing that, we'll see if I can really explain it. So there is a TED Talk, and I'll put the link down in the description. It is one of my absolute favorite TED Talks. I show it to my classes every year. And we talk about, what does it mean to be wrong? What does it feel like to be wrong? And Catherine Scholl says, it feels like being right. And if you watch the TED Talk, that'll make more sense. But at the end of her TED Talk, she said, here she was writing, she's a wrong researcher. And she was just going to write a book that nobody was interested in, and yet something else happened instead. And I have that and the this or something better written and taped up around my office. I say those things almost on a daily basis because they're true. And journaling has, I'll loop it back to journaling. Journaling has really helped me connect all of those ups and downs in life, all of the self-doubt and the changes that I've wanted to make in my life, and the growth spurts and the growing pains and the, anything in, when I look in my timeline of life, and the highs and the lows have really been supported by my journaling practice. So that was a lot. If you're still here, thank you. Gosh, you had to look at my face for half an hour. Sorry. I just really hope that if you are struggling with wanting to journal, that you can just know that it's worth it. Whatever it is, your dreams are worth pursuing, and journaling can just really be a big support in that. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Yeah, I've talked a lot, so I hope this maybe gave you some ideas, maybe inspired you to think about journaling. If you ever want to talk, just about journaling, but not in the comments, you could always feel free to email me, lidl.doodle1@gmail.com. Always happy to strike up a conversation and share my journey. I'm pretty much an open book, not always on the internet, but I'll be, happy to chat with you more about it further. So anyway, thanks for watching and sticking around, and I will see you in the next video.